people. Neighbours are being noisy, chasing dogs around the place. Anyways, I have been super creative today, unexpectedly. So I'm going to read a poem that I wrote. It's called Standards. Imagine how many people would be in prison, or unemployed, or murdered, or disabled, or orphaned, or uneducated globally if everyone was held to the same standards as Palestinians. Imagine a world with no innocent civilians, a world without dreams, a world without children, all eyes on the world you want to be creating. The synagogue of Satan wasn't prophesied for the world to maintain it. That's what they want you to believe. Cry wolf. Rescue me. Imagine if the plan for us was suddenly the plan for you. How do you see your friend now? They paint a myriad of pictures to keep us unseen. Invisible people caked in trauma for a century. So ingrained they didn't bank on any uncovering. The most documented, most surveyed people on earth, the most invisible, the most betrayed for so long. All to keep false synagogues standing tall, living off our trillions while we're down in the dark. They revelled in the false light. The illusion of power is no more. Souls cry, we see them, imploding on themselves in no time at all. Everyone knows their oddity, except for you. Everyone has seen them, and there's no one seeing them. Their demonic barbarism is at its end. Desperation is their cause of death. All the pain and the poison they've spilled on their heads is on their heads. The slaves who cried wolf are crying for the last time. And that's kind of like, it's a poem about the people who didn't really challenge it's not real before. They just believed what was in the media. And like in the last 10, 11 months, I've seen more people say, I've woken up now. Like I was one of the people that didn't know. So it's about that. But it's also about, like, if you actually hold the mirror up and put the parameters on for detaining someone, for example, or for executing someone, if you put that threshold, which is so low for Palestinians, if you apply that to the global population, what would it look like? Because that's the standard, really. This is the most moral standard on earth, you know. I'm gonna cut for the next one. Yeah, don't know. I've written a lot of things today. Yeah, I also wrote, why would you place a highly intuitive person under this much illegal surveillance? And it's evil beyond belief. You're not going to stop my art or any of my channelings. You won't belong in prison. But like Palestinians are very empathetic people, and they've been surveyed in Gaza in the West Bank they were heavily surveyed. That causes trauma. Like, it really causes trauma when you heavily survey an empathetic person. That level of oppression and control. That's what people don't want. That's what people want to stop. That's why there's resistance. That's why they're like that's like the oppression that people don't talk about. The oppression that people do talk about is the killings. The killings and the not being sent for treatment when you have a long-term illness and stuff like that. That's the impression that people do talk about. The food and blah blah blah. But it's also the it's like energetic interference to the max, man. To the max. Like, you can't stop what people are here to be. You can't stop people being themselves. Eventually, souls cry. Souls cry out. Souls cry out at the end of the day. They do. You can't just say, fall in line with and comply with oppression. That's the choice. That's not a choice. It's not human. There's no choice in it. Like, only choice. Oh my God. Like, it's in the tarot. So, like, choice is the Lover's card. Choice is love. It's a God-given right. It's a God-given. It's a divine. I don't know what to call it. It's divine decision making. It's a ascended way of being. So being aware of your choices and planting seeds, for example, and what you plant now. I don't know if I should show you the card because if it gets flagged on YouTube. But it's basically like 2 free people, like unchained. Like unbound and unchained. I don't know if I'm going to find the card. Oh, I found it. I can't really show it because it's got 2 naked people. But it's basically look like God or an angel. Maybe that's Archangel Michael. I don't really know. To me, it looks like a woman, to be honest. It looks like a woman's face in this deck. But it's a man and a woman, and they're not linked together. Can you see? I'll have to block them in case YouTube flags it for nudity. But it's 2 women that are completely separate. 2 men, sorry. 2 people, a woman and a man. Where's my brain? And choices are divine decisions if you're moving with awareness. And that's what love is. Real love is awareness and choices and decisions, like incremental. But yeah, so basically, like, surveying someone illegally it's so unholy. Like it's so of the devil and satanic. It's as satanic as you can get. It might, like, in Palestine, the surveillance that Israel uses, it sees in your house. And that's the kind of surveillance that, like, even in the UK, they're talking about information sharing and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of, like, technology sharing and, like, use of intelligence that they're bragging about is a perk of the allyship, which is not a perk. It's satanic. Like, it's like the worst. It's the worst thing that you could be saying as like a perk or a plus, or there's no relationship in that. That's just, it's like, it's beyond control, that. That's like, ugh, it's so disgusting. Let me show you how gnarly the devil card is. That's like the opposite card in the deck, comparatively to the choice card, because it's just like it's all chained up and bound up and everything's attached, and it just feels horrible. And that's what the material realm is. So this is like, this is spiritual. This is a spiritual foundation. This is not what I was expecting to be doing, to be honest. So sorry, and thanks for being patient with me. Oh, I've got it. But yeah, look here. There's two people, but there's like a chain. Look how gnarly that monster is at the top. It's very different to, that's like, look, this is what people don't realise yet. Look at the smile on his face. Look. The devil's not what you think, man. The devil is the person, the nice in your face, and is sly. That's the devil is not, it's not easy to spot, because it's the nice people, the people that smile and are they don't talk straight, like they say like loads of words, yeah, all very pleasant, and but really, like, to make out like they're not a bad person, like they're not doing it, but really their actions and everything they do is very harmful. Yeah, dangerous. I've got a song actually which is on a very different, yeah, it's just a different vibe altogether. To be honest, like, I wrote this poem about Palestine because it just occurred to me, like, because we were all creative people. I was like, why are Palestinians held up to such a high standard, which is actually low, like, it's a low threshold for their demise comparatively to what actually should be applied? And why does nobody talk about that? Why is that allowed again and again and again and again and again? Because if people were to walk in the shoes of Palestinians and to be continually hammered with those standards, knowing you're always set up to fail, and seeing everyone else isn't held up to the same abuses, like they're not having to endure the same abuses. Like people talk about colonialism, settler, blah, 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 but it's really, the crux of it is the people doing that and the people who are agreeable to it or passive to it, they would never be able to walk in a Palestinian shoes. They would never be able to understand what it means to have the rules set so you can so easily like that be accused of doing something wrong which results in loss of life. Something so pathetic that no one would ever be pulled up for it. No one else would in any other regime that was obviously in a reasonable society. And it's not even anything bad. Like, you don't even have to do anything. You just have to look at someone and like, also, this is the real thing, yeah? This is the real thing that people don't realise is if you have a very bright aura, which Palestinians do, a lot of Palestinians are like, people know when they walk in, they're very warm people, very heart-centered people, and always very selfless as well, which has been also to their demise because you've got to have boundaries, especially with people like the Israeli people who just want to take everything. You can't just give, and to the point of complete total annihilation, which is what's happened. But it is in the Palestinian nature. That is what love is. It's service. And if you apply those principles to the wrong people, it gets you into a whole heap of trouble. And basically, I forgot what my point is now. I hate when that happens. What was my point? But basically, like, you can't. It's just mad that people don't really think about actually the standards that we're held to and what could get someone in prison. Like, what can get someone in prison, what can get someone kidnapped, trafficked, killed, orphaned, tortured, sexually abused. Like, and it's not really anything to do with us. It's to do with the mentality of the other people. And that's what a lot of people with good souls and kind hearts, they're like, why would you do that? And people don't think that it's not necessarily to do with you. If your aura is not a match, if your aura comes against the aura of someone who's literally theirs is in the gutter, they're the gutter and you're the brightest light, that light is gonna make them the worst demon ever. It's gonna bring the demon out of them to the max. And you haven't got control over that because you don't know what's in them. You just come across them, be yourself. And the best example I can think of, the purest and most horrific and heinous example of that is the guy who was mauled to death by a combat dog that had Down syndrome, who was playing with the dog, innocently playing with the dog. That is the most clearest example of when your aura is so bright, you don't see the darkness in people until you go through lessons, and then you learn, and then you start to see the shadows, and then you become aware. Oh, not everybody's like me. There are really dangerous people out there. But Palestinians, I'm not saying they're not aware now, but like Palestinians are aware of the enemy. They are aware of the enemy, but those people here, you don't have to, like, here people aren't walking around like in combat gear and guns and stuff. So there's not an obvious presence of an enemy. It's usually more covert people that are enemies. So you have to learn, like, through sometimes even like harder challenges, I would say, about the dark side of humanity. But yeah, there's people that were just completely like oblivious to like how demonic is not real is. Yeah, I need to add tortured into the list. Yeah, like, people wouldn't stand for it. Like, that is not a society. That is not a society. If the threshold is that low for execution, there's no due process. There's no laws. It's completely lawless. It's just mafia. It's a mafia run. The world would be mafia run all over. So it was just like, it's just like holding the mirror up, really, saying like, is this what you want, bro? This video is way longer than what I thought it would be. Yeah, it took a twist, but I'm gonna come back and sing the song that I wrote in another video, which is just a lot more actually symbolic of how I've been feeling today. Yes. See you in the next video.